Is man monogamous? When I ask that question, I mean man. It's bouncing around the internet right now that men, specifically males, are not hardwired to be monogamous. Some people say they've studied males of all species, all animal species, not just humans, and come up with the conclusion that males specifically are hardwired to not be monogamous because they're supposed to be out there procreating. I've had people come in my office for psychotherapy and say, you know what, I think I want a divorce, not because there's anything really wrong with my wife, it's just that I feel like men should be every few years with a different woman. This is not a new idea. Back in 1972, a couple by the name of the O'Neills wrote a book called Open Marriage. And they espoused this idea that marriage should be open. It's a dysfunctional institution, and men should be able to have as many sexual partners as they can because they're hardwired in their genes to be that way. Well, in 1977, Nina O'Neill wrote another book and said, you know what, actually fidelity is an important part of marriage, and the couples who followed our earlier advice, even the best of them, only made it a couple of years. So the question is the wrong question. Is man basically monogamous is the wrong question. The question is, how should men and women be monogamous? Yes, we should be monogamous, but how do we do it? This is the important question. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 tips for how to have a healthy monogamous relationship. The first thing you need is empathy. Empathy is not sympathy. Empathy is not feeling sorry for the other person. Empathy is not even identifying with the other person. Hey, I know how you feel. Empathy is the capacity for understanding. Empathy means I've put myself in that person's shoes and I really know how they're feeling. I really understand on an emotional level this other person, not just an intellectual level. Empathy is number 1. Number 2 is a healthy level of closeness. Now, we all have a different level of closeness. It's the way you were raised, it's your personality. All those things go into determining how much closeness you need. Some people need to be enmeshed. That's not healthy, that's too close. Some people need to be really distant from each other. That's not healthy, that's too far apart. You need to have a moderate level of closeness where you admire the other person. You don't need to be the other person, but you need to be with the other person, at least a good portion of the time. You need to be able to be apart, but also be able to be together and have a healthy level of closeness and admiration. And the third thing you need, of course, is love. And what do I mean by love? We say we love hot dogs, we love our mothers, we love our spouses, we love rock music. But in this context, I mean a love that chooses to serve the other and has the other's interests ahead of my own. That's the kind of agape love, as Jesus calls it, the kind of love that's selfless love, the love that puts the other person's interests above your own. And if I have the ability to understand the other person, I have a healthy level of closeness and admiration for the other person, then I'm going to have the ability to love them in a selfless way, which means serve them and be served by them in the healthiest of all possible ways. Now, if you're having trouble putting together any of these 3 things in your monogamous relationship, don't be afraid to ask for help. Good marriage counseling does this. It teaches you those 3 things so that you can learn how to have healthy monogamy in your life. Yes, you are hardwired to have healthy monogamy, not unhealthy monogamy. People who have healthy monogamous relationships have fewer physical problems, they live longer, and they're happier people. At the end of your life, the thing that will determine your happiness more than anything else is not wealth, it's not circumstances, it's not even health, it's the quality of your relationships. So if you have the capacity to have healthy monogamy in your life, healthy closeness, healthy understanding, healthy love, you're going to live a longer and healthier life. I'm delighted to be able to tell you that my book, Jesus, the Greatest Therapist Who Ever Lived, is now approaching 2 million copies sold worldwide. This book is a psychological look about the teachings of Jesus. We all know his spiritual message, which is what he came to tell us about. But what most of us don't know is that embedded in his teachings are bits of psychological wisdom that are brilliant for how to conduct our emotional lives today. If you want to read more about the integration of psychology in the teachings of Jesus, you'll be able to get a copy and judge for yourself. Is he the greatest psychologist who ever lived? I think so.